Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up?
Yo, hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, we back at it again. So today's
Here we go.
book that I'm going to be talking about is Conversations with Ogotomele, an introduction to the Dogon Religious by Marcel Grial. It's not the whole book on here. I just wanted to get a really good close up of this. So this is the book right here. We're going to be going. It's basically the Dogon tribe. So with your understanding, Fat Jesus, you talk a lot about the tridactyls, and I told you before we started this show, I needed you to look into the tridactyls and this and see what similarities you found and where what sources you got with it. So yeah, bring that up real quick. See what you got.
Surprisingly, there's not really a whole lot of tridactyls connected with the Dogon tribe. Um, there is similarities in culture and cultural similarities, such as their what artifacts that they have recovered or have at the museum closely resembles the artifacts in Peru. But there's a lot of naysayers that say that the science behind it or the person that first did the research or stayed with them was biased in the
And
first place.
was it
Like,
Marcel Grial?
yeah, the
Okay.
one and only.
Yeah,
Although he
yeah,
did
yeah.
a lot of the footwork. He did a lot of the work, but because of his biasness on certain subjects or the way the lens that he looked through with them, it caused a
You
certain
think it
type
was
of
just with them, or do you think it was lot of different other people?
I think it's a cultural biasness that is instilled within the French or the Brit or any European um, person.
I want you
I
to
would
remember that.
like if a person is culturally biased, let's say they're raised that way without an open mind, and because he's a very educated person, but he has actually a doctorate degree within the field of anthropology. So he's one of the fathers of anthropology that you learn as a social scientist or in the social sciences in the circle itself in anthropology. You This is one of the people that you read about in anthropology. No matter what mistakes he's ever made, there are no mistakes in anthropology. There is just studying. Like, people that make mistakes, it's part of social science. Making mistakes is human. That is the ultimate social sciences. If humans did not make mistakes, there's something wrong. That got to be an alien. It's got to be an extraterrestrial. So it's just a person that doesn't exist. So we study multitudes of people, and people that make mistakes are one of them. And it's a cultural thing all around the world. In
So
fact, so many inventions in this world have been created from mistakes or accidents. Am I right or wrong on that?
I don't know. There's a lot of inventions, bro.
Yeah, there's a lot of inventions. Like a good one is Marie Curie. Like she stumbled across radiation, and she got sick and she died from it, from cancer and all that stuff. So if she knew ahead of time what was going to happen, I'm sure she would have taken better care of herself, or the test that she was doing would have been done safely, but she had no idea. It was a mistake. So, sometimes Europeans or even Americans, because we Americans do come from Europe, and my family is from Spain, so I'm also European, so I can't speak like in a third person. But also my family is also mixed with indigenous in South America as well. So there is no like specific place that we come from anymore. So if we're born here in the United States, you just might as well just call yourself American because we're so mixed, you know. But if you look at the culture in Europe, you're gonna think really hard how they think, how they talk, how they view other people. Not today. Today it's a little bit different. Even though some of that cultural biasness does seep into to today's world, but they have more of an open mind now, you know, to the point where they actually allowed a bunch of immigrants into their country. Remember that, you know? So right now they're putting a lot of laws right now in certain parts of Europe where they're trying to get rid of their immigrants, you know. So it's like that almost all around the world. The there is a crash going on right now of two cultural societies where they're bringing in people from Afghanistan or Iraq or Iran or something like that, and that culture is mixing into the European culture, and it's causing a lot of problems, and people are just upset. They don't want
Yeah, well, we ain't talking about that,
this
bro.
is
We
a
ain't here to talk
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
no, no,
But
no,
no,
no.
no,
We
but
going
this
off
is a
the
good
off. Yeah,
example. This is a good example because the Dogon tribe and the way the scientist was viewing the Dogon tribe created some problems. It actually was
yeah. But we ain't gonna talk about all that
he
other
viewed
stuff.
that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So the reason why I said for you to pay attention to that was because one of the first things that Marcel Griot says in his book in the preface, he says in one of the most remarkable mountain areas in Africa lives a population of peasant warriors who were one of the last peoples to lose their independence and come under French rule. Many Europeans have regarded the Dogon as savages, if not the most backward race in the whole region. So that goes into what you were saying about the cultural idea right there. And then they have been thought to practice human sacrifice and to offer resistance to outside influence all the more effectively because of the natural difficulties of the country they inhabit. Now, anybody that's read the Bible knows that Abraham was going to sacrifice his own son. So that's kind of an iffy uh, uh, way to think of things. These people are not living like savages because are you saying that Abraham was a savage at that time for, almost, sacrificing his own son? So how do we determine what a savage is? And that was a good point that you brought up about the cultural ideas again. And then you have it says writers have described their fears when embarking on what were thought to be rash expeditions. In the light of these stories and on account of suspected revolts, often the result of misunderstandings, whole villages have sometimes been laid under interdict. What you think about that?
I think there was a translation barrier, between the Ogatameli tribe, and about the doggone the history of the doggone. And the question is, because Marcel did not speak fluent in Dogon and ultimately spoke, and the ultimately did not speak French, every single they didn't like every single deep mystical and poetic conversation during those 33 days that he spent had to pass through a highly problematic game of telephone. Pretty much, you have to imagine how the conversation was going through because he didn't speak fluent and neither did they. So how much of that translation was lost?
No, I agree with you because I'm actually reading this book, Symbols over here, and it's just basically a dictionary of symbols. So that's what I'm gonna start implementing in these conversations once I get done with it. And we'll be going over it, and I'm actually gonna have to uh depending on how big the
But
uh
this is not my ideas. These
no
are
no
these
no
are
no no
other people's.
no that's
I
what
mean, I'm
I'm
reading
trying to
about.
work.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to word this right because
These are
boy.
these are actually students that have graduated, that have become adults, that have read his work, because a lot of people like
No, I
his
got his book right
stuff show
here. I
up.
literally
Yeah,
got
yeah.
his book right here. So that's what
No,
I'm
no, but
reading from right now.
he shows up in every textbook. But
Yeah,
people that go over his work after he passed away, they comment this way. This is what they talk about. Like,
yeah, because
how could this be true?
Yeah, they have their own ideas, and that's what I'm about to say is that I have this book symbols right here. I was trying to put it in the right words. Is that they talk about the doggone differently than what is described. What I'm about to read right now, because this right here is important. Some people always talk about the moon differently, and right here in his book, hold on, let me see. Before we even go on, I want to say this part. He says the doggone, in short, were thought to be present of the examples of primitive savagery. And this view has been shared by some Muslim Africans who are
Mm.
no better
Yep.
equipped intellectually than
Mhm.
Europeans to understand those of their brothers who cling to the traditions of their ancestors. Only those officials who have undertaken the hard task of governing these people have learned to love them. So that's where you can see how he's basically saying the doggone tribe is basically equivalent and equal to the Muslim Africans, which to me that's kind of I don't know why he would say something like that, but that's where you can
Yeah,
see where you can
yeah,
see
it's
where
called exoticization. That's what you're talking about. Romanticizing, stereotyping, or portraying a foreign culture as fundamentally mysterious, alien, or purely spiritual compared to rational West.
yeah
So he
whatever.
separated the West from
Mhm.
the Dogon tribe, and this was a European cultural thing that they always did. They separated themselves as being superior
And
in
that's
that
why.
nature.
But see, this is what's interesting is that some people don't like. Some people say this information was incorrect, then some people will say it's not incorrect. Well, I actually here. Let me bring it up real quick because this is going to go into the
Bring
next
it on,
tab.
bring it on.
I actually did a podcast discussion with Larry Scratton, the science of the dog on decoding the African
Yeah,
mystery
I
tradition,
watched that. That was really good. There's a
and
lot of good information.
yeah, he gives out some good information according to what the dog on, and you can't really. And what's so crazy is that you can't dismiss some of this information because you can easily go and
He
ask
talked
certain
about the
questions.
stargazing. He talked about the stars and how did they figure out where that star system is
Well,
and how
oh,
did they
now let me
even have
no
that
no no no.
understanding?
No,
How did they
I'm
even
glad you.
have an
Well, let
understanding of the
me.
stars?
Okay, you see how excited you are about that. So
Yeah, I'm excited because
let me show you.
because
Let me show you.
because
Let me show you.
I
Let me
study.
show
I'm an
you.
amateur astronomer, and it
No,
just
see, this is why I
it's
always say
freaking amazing.
when you ask questions, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to look for it, right? If
Yeah.
you can't leave yourself without a question. So what I did was, I'm going to do this brand new. I'm not even going to say what I said before.
Let's
But
go, Grok.
here we go.
Let's go.
We used this last time. So basically, I use a lot of people are what they're going to do is they're going to go to Grok, ChatGPT, or whatever, and ask it questions, and then they're going to sit here and say, this is what the answer is. No matter what anybody else says, if ChatGPT or Grok says it and it goes with their belief, then they're just going to believe that. There's not going to be any pushback. Now, like I said, I have two different books that say two different things about the Dogon tribe in here.
Mhm.
I'll go over that in the future, but I understand why some people don't like the information in this book. I mean, I just read the preface and you can see how he just started already calling people savages, and this the reason why he called them savages, but you could see the same kind of
Confirmation
rituals or something.
biasness.
Yeah, so here we go. So hey Grok, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear
You
you
hear it?
loud and
Yeah,
clear.
I
What's
hear
up?
it.
Okay. All right. So according to conversations with Ogo Tamele, by Marcel Grial in Introduction to the Dogon Religious Ideas. A lot of ideas are said that the human eye cannot see see the star system that they talked about. Is that true or false? I gotta get something for that soon.
It's false. The book Conversations with Ogo Tameli is about Dogon cosmology, focusing on Sirius and its invisible companion star, not Ceres. There's no
I said it
mention
so
of
wrong.
Ceres or any asteroid in those conversations. The famous Dogon claims involve Sirius B, a white dwarf that's invisible to the naked eye, which is the part that gets debated. Ceres itself is too dim for normal naked eye viewing. It usually sits around magnitude 8 or 9,
Mm.
needing binoculars or a small telescope. On perfect dark skies, Sharp-eyed people might catch it at
See?
its brightest near magnitude 7, but that's not reliable. So
Not,
yeah, the human eye generally can't see Ceres without help.
see, so the general person would not be able to see that, right? Like me and you. I mean, I got glasses coming in.
I got
Um,
questions. Keep going.
Yeah, but the thing is that some people can see it with the right conditions in their eyes. So that just basically takes away the whole idea that nobody could ever see it. It was just a small group of individuals that could. And they were the ones who seen that star. Now, what was your question?
Well, let's say for instance, Grok and all these AIs, they pull from um I call it the steaming heap of crap in this world. But people fill information up that Grok and all these AIs look for. And people, I mean, Grok isn't like God. So the information Grok is getting it from human beings. And
Yeah.
human beings are fallible. They're not fallible.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
they're gonna make mistakes. So what if? What if? I'm sorry, I'm bringing the what if in. If they were visited by extraterrestrials, maybe they were introduced with holograms of the star system or something that we don't know about. Of course, it's a what if. But what if we set our minds to their stories, how they say their stories, and then we think Star Wars
Yeah, but
or
see, but
the
you're,
ability to see something in a certain direction that didn't exist in the past?
but where does any of this says the extraterrestrials came from there? Where in any of this right now?
The
No, just right.
information that they're
No.
getting is extraterrestrial like because there's no other way for
No,
them
no, no,
to
no,
even
no,
because
no.
they can't see the star. How are they
No,
going to be talking about it?
you didn't listen. You didn't hear it. There are certain people that can see that star. It literally said there are certain
It's
people.
very difficult. It's very
It doesn't
difficult.
matter. It's still certain people. Only
Okay.
certain people. So I still want to know where did the extraterrestrial came from when it's literally just said certain people.
Well, it says that modern day scientists or not modern day science. Well, yeah, modern day scientists or modern day self scientists are the ones that are saying that extraterrestrials came and visited this tribe.
No, we
You know,
get that.
but people on
There's
the
no, there's
internet and
no,
things like
there's
that.
actually,
It
there's
isn't
no,
something ancient or something on the wall that
no,
says
not,
we were
not,
visited by aliens.
no, you got to bring out facts to the table. What scientists say that? Because I've never heard a scientist say that. All I've ever heard are people who believe in extraterrestrials.
That's a good question. I have to look that up because I looked up the people that were biased.
No, I don't look. See,
I have the people
that's
that are biased against it. I don't have the people that
well,
were
those
for
people
it.
don't know what they're talking about because my idea is that the whole idea is the question is this: how do the doggone know about this star system? And 9 times out of 10, most people will say that no humans could see that. Well, we just asked Grok because what I like what you're doing now is you just asked the what if without having an answer already prepared. So now we have to wait for you to prepare your own answer. But that's when I jump in and say, look, before I do that, I'm asking Grok the question on hand. Because I don't want people to think something and we all just thinking and nobody's coming up with an answer. You know what I'm saying? So my idea is the fact that right now, the whole idea is how do these people see this star system? Well, there's only a small group of people that can do that. So it's humanly possible. So we don't need extraterrestrials yet for this idea. We already can do it.
The originator is Robert K.G. Temple.
And who is
an
that?
American author and fellow Royal Astronomical Society. What he did, he is absolute foundation of this entire movement in 1976. He published a massive international bestseller called The Serious Mystery. His claim, Temple
I got that book. I know what that is.
Okay. So he says that amphibious water spirits, and remember we were talking about tridactyls and tridactyls.
Yep. That's why I was telling you. That's
Ed Casas says that the tridactyls are
We're
amphibious
gonna go over
beings.
his book. We're gonna go over his
Yeah.
book because I got his book, because that's why I was telling you to look up the
He claims,
similarities.
but he claims that these ETs taught the Dogon, the ancient Egyptians, and the Sumerians advanced astronomy and civilization before leaving.
Yeah.
So, and this is where you get your 3 kings in the Bible and all that stuff. They got all that knowledge
Well, you get
from
the 3 kings from everywhere.
from the
honestly.
extraterrestrials. You know, they have to. It has to go in a series of roads. Like,
But see,
these
that's
extraterrestrials came
what-
before all this.
okay. So now
all this history happened.
so now, what is this best evidence for this? What is his best evidence for this?
He actually says who landed in the ark around 3200 BC. He said.
What is his best evidence for this?
Doesn't say right here his best evidence, not yet. But the second person that we were talking about is Rick von Daniken and Zachary Stitchen.
Yeah.
Also
you
talks about how
Yeah, because they
extraterrestrials
mention
came
him.
down.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But my point is this: we get that as many stories that
They're peer review. They're peer reviewing him. That's what they're doing.
The thing is that we get as many stories you get about extraterrestrials you get from inner Earth also. So that's why I never argued that point. My point is that what I said is that you can't see the star system without the naked eye. And we just proved that you can. So now you have this knowledge. So when somebody says to you, "Oh, you can't see this star system the Dogon tribe was talking about," you can say, "Well, you may not, but my eyes can." And your eyes may can at that latitude and longitude or that degree that it was talking about. The point of that whole thing is that forget the extraterrestrials, because we're not even talked about that part yet or even got into that. The idea is whether you can see the star system or not, whether a human can. And the plus, yes, the idea is a human can. Everything else doesn't matter at this point because we're only on that point of the idea of that star system. So that's why I think it's very important for people when they say, "Oh, the Dogon tribe wouldn't know about this star system unless there was some extraterrestrials that got involved." Then I say that's very disrespectful to the people who can actually see the star system.
To add more context, and your question was, what's his proof? His proof, and we're coming back around in a circle. That Sirius B is completely invisible to the naked human eye.
And you just heard that it's not.
Yeah.
So now he's wrong.
So hold on. So Western astronomers only predict, and this is back in 1970. Western astronomers only predicted it mathematically in 1844 and photographed it for the first time in 1970 using advanced telescopes.
And that's why they say that they don't believe that Marcel Grial's book is in there, because if you actually look at it, he doesn't. If you look to it and you type in what is his feelings about Marcel Grial, you'll see how he was always countering Marcel Grial's information, a lot of people use his information to counter Marcel Grial's. But the point is that point that he said is completely invisible to the naked eye, that you already know that's false. You already know that's false because there are people that can see that. And
when? And what
it
part,
doesn't matter.
What part of the season? Because certain season, the Earth
it doesn't matter. Listen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when somebody makes an absolute saying it's completely invincible to the naked eye.
Yeah,
they're wrong. You're made an absolute.
You know how we look at the moon, and when it rises at a certain portion of the Earth, it actually looks a lot bigger. It's like the lens gets bigger in certain parts of the Earth. I wonder if that's even possible with stars as well.
Possibly. I mean, look, I just like to stick to what people say. If somebody, like I said so many times, if somebody makes an absolute, then that means that any question that I have, I shouldn't have any questions because it's an absolute. Why do you need to ask a question if there's an absolute? You can't change it. There's nothing else to know. There's nothing else to figure out because it's an absolute. But this, when you go back and you find out that people can actually see the star system.
There you go. Constitution Chris says, seems to be in the area where a West African Atlantis may have resided in Mali.
Yeah, that's on the West Coast. That's also the same idea where the Olmecs traditional helmets and types of braid style happens at.
Yeah, and
But I'm not even going to talk about that. But yes, it's definitely That's why I tell people.
we have brought that up in other podcasts before with one of the professionals on Atlantis, talking about Atlantis being out in probably part of Atlantis, because Atlantis was probably huge. It's part of it was in Africa, not all of it, but part of it.
So the next 3 tabs is pretty interesting on here. It says, because it's on the second day, so he went through a certain amount of days. I think it was like 30 days, or not 30, 13, 14. Let me see, 33rd. Yeah, I think it was like 30 something days that he went. Let me see. Yeah, the 33rd day. Yeah, I think he went 33. Yeah, he went 33 days and stayed with him and got information.
And now he was married now, guys. So he had a lady back at home watching his daughter, and he was with a tribe with a bunch of beautiful women, all by himself out there. So, there has been stories about men, having a
Man, don't throw that out there in the universe out there, man. That man ain't, you don't throw that dirt on that man.
I asked that question, and AI actually brought it up.
No,
if there's any illegitimate children out there.
The man can't speak for himself. Don't do that, bro. It ain't that. No, don't even do that, bro. The next tabs, he refused to linger over the.
Want to know?
No, bro. Nah. That's not even cool, man. A man that passed away can't speak on nothing, man. So you gotta leave that where it's at. You know,
DNA speaks.
No, come on, leave that alone, man. He refused to linger over the dimensions of the moon, nor did he ever say anything about them. The moon's function was not important, and he would speak of it later. He said, however, that while Africans were creatures of light emanating from the fullness of the sun, Europeans was the creatures of the moonlight, hence the immature appearance. So that's why they was always describing people like, Europeans were the moon and the Africans were the sun, this the melanin and all that other stuff. So that was pretty interesting to hear him say that. But I don't, I want to understand that from the French side, from his perspective. That's interesting that he put that in the book.
We asked that from Grok just to see if what Grok says.
Well, let's see. Hey, Grok, I need you to verify something from the book that I was telling you about. He says in the book, he refused to linger over the dimensions of the moon, nor did he ever say anything about them. The moon's function was not important, and he would speak of it later. He said, however, that while Africans were creatures of light emanating from the fullness of the sun, Europeans were creatures of the moonlight, hence their immature appearance. Translate that and keep that simple, stupid for me. That's another military term. Keep it simple, stupid.
I remember that.
He skipped talking about the moon's size or details completely, said it wasn't important and he'd get to it later. Then he added that Africans come from the bright, full power of the sun, while Europeans come from moonlight. That's why they look so pale and immature. He even spat out his tobacco after saying it.
Yeah, so you can see that it knew about this information.
Spittoon.
And it definitely says it right, because that's the next tab. It says he spit out his tobacco as he spoke. Alco-Tamele had nothing against Europeans. He was not even sorry for them. He left them to their destiny in the lands of the north. Now, this is the important part.
In the lands
of the north. Now, something that I was reading in the symbols book is the north is usually where the devil comes out of. That's where evil's at. So that's pretty interesting to know that. No, I'm not going to get the book because it's sitting over there, but yeah, it definitely talks about it. I'll go over it. So it's just interesting that they have
about me not being prepared. You got to go run and get your book.
No, I got the book right there. I'm just not going to reach over there to open it up to. You'll see how big and thick this book is.
That's why
I'm not even trying to even open it. But the next tab he says, he talks about the god Amma. The god Amma, it appeared, took a lump of clay, squeezed it in his hands, and flung it from him as he had done with the stars. The clay spread and fell on the earth, which is the top, and from there stretched out to the south, which is the bottom of the world, although the whole movement was horizontal. The earth lies flat. Now, we just talked about flat earth, right? That's what we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
So right here, it says, the earth lies flat, but the north is at the top. Okay. It extends east and west and separate members like a fetus in the womb. It is a body that is to say a thing with members branching out from a central mass. This body lying flat, face upwards in a line from the north to the south is feminine. Its sexual organ is an anthill, and its clitoris a termite hill. Amma, being lonely and desirous of intercourse with the creature, approached it. That was the occasion of the first breach of the order of the universe. So that's basically how the universe came together, according to the Dogon tribe.
It says right here they knew how to locate absolute true north over 3,000 years ago. Tell me if that's a savage tribe. That's not savages.
But that's what I'm saying.
Those are very intelligent people. Those are very intelligent people with an education of an understanding. And not only that, whatever culture that came by to communicate with them, they will assimilate whatever information that was. They were hungry for information.
Yeah. Look, it's amazing because a lot of people always talk about, low IQ. I see it on Facebook, Twitter all the time. All these people have low IQ. These people are this, that, third. And I'm just like, yo, do you know how intelligent some of these people are? Like, some of these people, they have the intelligence that will rock your world. You know what I'm saying?
We wouldn't be talking about them if they weren't if there was nothing to talk about. But they're intelligent people. They are, and it's fascinating.
I just wonder how many people. I just want to know how many people who could survive in the elements that they could survive.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to survive.
IQ. I mean, IQ is where you live at. It's not necessarily. I'm smarter here because, I mean, if everything is taken from you and you're the smartest person in the world, usually that comes with a really bad ailment.
I would have to live with them to learn to survive next to them, to understand the land and everything like that. Because on my own, I would probably not. I wouldn't make it, but 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
But that's what I'm saying is that you hear. But this is the thing: when the word savage and barbarian was used, that usually meant anybody that wasn't of the group of people. So like when the Greeks called people barbarians, that meant anybody except Greeks. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how well you live.
It's just more of a status. Like I came from a university, and the people that I graduated with are, my peers, and anybody that hasn't graduated with me or come from the West with me or understand our culture in comparison with anybody else, that's what it's all about. It's about status. That's it. The Western status was a much higher status. This is how they thought. We had a higher standard. We always have a higher standard, and that really flooded in, and they called everybody else savages pretty much. And I'm sure some people acted that way, the way they said it, and they picked that out. But it's dependent on the culture, and they have to hunt for food. Yeah, they have to. I mean, they didn't have the technology that the West had and everything like that, but that's the way it was, and they didn't accept the fact that that's how they lived.
Yeah, and that's why I said I always try to tell people, instead of thinking things in your shoes, take your shoes off and put your feet in somebody else's shoes. See how that person was living. I mean, not for nothing. I definitely believe that there's a language barrier between the two.
That's a good question. That's a good thing you brought up. Does the Japanese think they're better than everybody else because they do extra? They are extra. You got to agree with me on that. They are extra.
No, everybody is though. Everybody who
Japanese people are extra. Like everything they do, their laws and everything like that. They I was watching a video and I love it. I love the videos now. I love what they do in their culture. There's nothing negative, but they, like in my culture, in the American culture, we base everything on insurance or something like that.
That's I'm gonna stop you. I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you. What? American culture is not one culture. It's made of many cultures. So what you do is different than what other people do. So that's why I said that.
But we have efficiency.
No. Everybody does everything that they can do according to what their land allows them to, and their laws and stuff like that. That's why I don't really like talking about politics and all that other stuff
No,
about
it's
this stuff
not
because
politics.
no,
It's
I'm just
about
saying.
how the culture
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is
reflects
that
themselves when it comes to money.
most of the culture people look at is because of the politics, and that because like when just like you said, my culture here in America, that means me and you have the same culture. No, the hell we don't. I can guarantee you, me and you don't have the same culture. So that's and I'm American too. So
Uh-huh.
that's what I'm saying is that no, I think that's totally different, and I don't agree with that just because of that simple fact that America is made up of different cultures, and that's why I
I mean,
said.
I don't have a money tree in my backyard or anything like that. You know?
And that's why I said that like you said something earlier with the communication. I think the communication definitely changed because think about it. You just spoke right now for everybody in America, right here, right? And I had to
Specifically.
stop it. And I had to stop you and say, well, that's not the same because me and you don't have the same culture. And I guarantee you, probably 10 other people who are American that are watching this, or not even that, just human, period, don't have the same culture, right? So it's really different. That's why I said like with what he was thinking.
Is it any different from the Europeans how they thought about Africans?
I mean, people think about Africans just because they're conditioned to think what they need to think about it, and it usually goes with
In
something.
that time frame, in that time period, they
Well, in that
believed
time
that their
frame,
culture.
in that time frame, I can't speak for other people. I can only, the only thing I can speak on is what I've seen on TV and what I've witnessed personally. Now, there's a lot of ignorant people out there. I can tell you right now, I didn't really start experiencing that ignorance until when Call of Duty came out, and you can hear all the ignorance in there. And then now you got Twitter, Facebook, and social media.
In products, yeah, that is a good point too. In many of the products that come out, and or like this new game called Sand that all the streamers are playing right now. It's a brand new game. Like all their characters are white. There's not a single black character in there.
Well, that
And
to me that doesn't matter because I played plenty of games where there was just a certain European group of individuals or certain black individuals. I mean, I played different games, so that doesn't bother me. What I'm saying is that the culture, we are so mixed up now to the point where we don't really have a certain type of culture. It's like having the same tradition. So when we go back in 1976, I can tell you, or 1970s, I can tell you that the culture of 1970s is not the same culture as 2026 right now. Right? It's a totally two different type of culture.
But the psychology, though, when you sit down and play the video game, you're thinking.
But see, that's the thing. Nobody
where's the black people and all.
But that's what I'm saying. And nobody was playing video games in the 70s like this. So
no,
we don't have to worry about that. And today,
not yet.
Today, the reason why there are games like that is just whatever the reasons why. But I mean, we have our freedom to do everything. But when you asked that question earlier about, how the translations between the groups of people, and you talked about the culture. I want to say that to answer your question about the culture and the translation, the hardest thing that they had to do was they had to find somebody that understood both sides equally, and that's something that we don't have the answer for.
This author didn't do that.
No, he had somebody talk. He had a middleman. We just don't know enough about that middleman now.
We don't know anything about that middleman, do we?
And then no, we know a little bit. There's a little bit about him, but he's not the only person. As
far as AI said, it was just him and the chief of the tribe that were communicating.
No, he had other people with him. He had a couple of people with him in particular. And then there was like, I want to say like a mediator, translator in between it, because that's the only way they could get like. I mean,
we're
honestly,
assuming.
No, we're not. I'm not assuming. I'm telling you this is what he talked about in his book. He had somebody in there. It was just that he had different people for different things. It wasn't a set person. So different people had different. He spoke to this guy right here, but
did he reference them?
He's the guy that got all the information, so he's not the only one. You see what I'm saying? There was other people involved. He's just the chief of them all, and he did talk to him, but he also talked to other people. You see what I'm saying? And other people gave him information. It was just how he received it is different. And we really don't know because we don't really have anything but what he wrote down. But the people after him, because this guy's gone now. Both of them are gone right now.
Well, people
They
have
still
gone
study.
back to the tribe.
So
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They get more information, and now people actually
they
learn
lived
their
with the
language.
people. Yeah.
There's people
more
that actually learned the language itself, and they translate it that way. But this was basically the beginning half of it. So what he talks about in this book here is just like the foundations of what we have. So when somebody says, well, who do we talk to about the Dogon tribe? This would be your primary source right here first. If you don't read his stuff, then you don't know how to counter or talk to anybody else about anything else, because this guy literally, he spent 33 days with them. I think that's what it said, right? I want to say, let me see if I can find that, because it doesn't have, yeah, it does right here. 33 days and a farewell. Yeah.
Yep.
So
33
see,
days.
so
we
so
brought
this
up
one.
on the first.
So let me read what he did. So the first day he meets Ogotomele. The second day, the first word in the fibered skirt. The third day is the second word in weaving. Fourth day is the third word in the granary of pure earth. Fifth day is the third word in the classification of things. Sixth day is the third word, the descent of the granary of the pure earth in death. Seventh day, the third word in the regurgitation of the world system. Eighth day, the third word in the work of redemption. The ninth day is the third word in the drums. The 12th or the 10th is the word in the craft of weaving. 11th day, the word in the cultivation of the land. 12th day is the word dress and love. 13th day is the smithy pottery. 14th day is the large family house. 15th day is the sanctuary. The 16th day is paintings on the facade of the sanctuary. 17th day is paintings on the facade of the sanctuary continued. 18th day is the cult of Lebe. 19th day is the cult of Benu. 20th day is sacrifice. 21st day is the fertilizing word. 22nd day is the blood of women. 33rd day, the blood of women and the threshing of digitaria. The 24th day is the dual soul and circumcision. The 25th day is the personal altars. The 26th day is the appearance of death. 27th day, the cult of the dead, fermented liquors. The 12th day, the 28th day, dancing. 29th day, the cult of fire. 30th day is the twins in trade. 31st day, twins in trade, continued. 32nd day, the signs of the zodiac. 33rd day, farewell to Ogotomele. So the signs of the zodiac is interesting because China is always regarded as, or China or India is regarded as that. But the next tab that he talks about, he says these spirits called Numo. Some people call them Nomo. It's in either Nommo that some people call it, but they're talking about Numo in Nummo. And sometimes some people describe them too differently, but they're called Numo, were thus two homogeneous products of God, of divine essence like himself, conceived with outward, untoward incidents and developed normally in the womb of the earth. Their destiny took them to heaven, where they received the instruction of their father, not that God had to teach them speech, that indispensable necessity of all beings, as it is of the world system. The pair were born perfect and complete. They had 8 members. They had 8 members, and their number was 8, which is the symbol of speech. So 8 is a very important number. So different civilizations had that. So this is what's interesting. It says the life force of the earth is water. God molded the earth with water, blood too. He made out of water. Even in stone, there is the force, for there is moisture in everything. So he says moisture is in everything. But that's the spirits. So the Dogon. So now you know the Dogon are called the spirits. That's pretty interesting. Let's see. And we got the chat going on. I can't keep up with everybody.
I know. I
yeah.
can't keep up with it either. They're all
But
over the
yeah,
place.
it's I do.
They're still stuck on the video game.
Yeah, there's. I mean, I mean, that's what I'm saying is that the culture. I mean, if you look at how people talk today, you would think that all people believe certain things, but it's just the algorithm. See, today, back then, the news was based on what channel you picked. You could pick CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, whatever you wanted, right? Now you have an array of social media. People can hide behind social media accounts and all kinds of stuff, and they can go out there and put whatever it is they want to put out there. And that's why people say the stuff that they say, and some people get away with it very easily. Is pretty interesting how we always talk about freedom of speech, but we never say there's no freedom from consequence.
But
Uh,
here's a little fact. The question we need to ask: were there other Westerners that visited? Like we're reading this author, and we trust this author is like the very first contact with the Ogotameli tribe, right? As this is the ancestors of the Dogon tribe, right?
mm,
So so but we didn't ask the question, were there other Westerners that visited
yeah.
before this
Oh, before
author?
him?
And
No, there was
I just
nobody.
found out Carl Sagan was there before him.
Yeah, there wasn't that many people who. There was a couple of people that actually went before him. Carl Sagan is actually that's actually interesting.
Famed astronomer.
He has he has a lot of information. What year did it say that he went?
Was in the 19th to 20th century Europeans who brought telescopes and textbooks to Mali and talked to the locals.
Yeah. So when did
That's
he?
what you're saying.
No, I'm saying when did he do it before? Because I
Oh
know
no, no,
that.
they're saying that he says that not him. He didn't show up there before him. He says that there were other people that showed up before that author. That's what it
Oh yeah,
says right
yeah.
here.
I've read
Yeah,
that. I read that. I was about to say
yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting about Carl Sagan because I
He's
didn't
not that
didn't.
old, and he's a
Yeah, that's
vampire
what to
then.
say. I was about to say that's pretty interesting. I know there was a lot of people
He's
that
still
because
alive.
I was reading this one book, and I can't remember. It's a really old book. I think it was like from the 1800s,
Maybe you could
1860
get.
or
Maybe you
something.
could get a signature in your book from
No,
him.
they was talking about uh how there used to be a tribe that came from that used to be in Egypt that moved near where the Dogon tribe is now, and they had a symbol that looked very familiar from another one. So I have to go back and look at it. But yeah, I've read plenty of times that people went down there and because not for nothing, this tribe was the last tribe that fell under the rule of the French in that area, I believe. So there's people that visited them before. They knew about them, but he is the first guy that actually sat down and annotated everything like with a historical type of view. So that was when you said Carl Sagan. I was about to say that's pretty interesting that he did before him because I didn't even know about that.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
he
no,
was
no. He talked about how other people were there before the author
because
was there.
I know he quotes the Dogon tribe a lot in his books. I know that for a fact. So the next tab I got on here is the four eldest were males, the four others were females, but by a special dispensation permitted only to them, they were able to fertilize themselves, being dual and bisexual. From them are descended the eight doggone families. Now, a lot of times, I was reading this Symbols book, bisexual also meant hermaphrodite, also, or it could be one and the same. So some people believe that they were hermaphrodites, like some people believe Adam was a hermaphrodite, and there's other ideas out there. So that's just very interesting. I just wanted to throw that out there because of the simple fact that, um, like I said, other people have visited this tribe after Marcel Grial did, and I
Now,
know.
Marcel, he it says right here he took between 3,500 and 4,400 physical cultural artifacts from Africa and transported them all to France. That's another thing. So what was the purpose of that? Not keep it within
Well,
Africa.
I know some people were giving him uh,
Not many?
artifacts. I mean, you never know. I mean, they make their stuff out of clay, bro. You know.
I mean,
I mean, they gave him the traditional burial ground of the Dogon tribe. So I mean, that's why I said I don't want to speak nothing negative on him because I don't know if he took it. I know he probably was. I mean, he had to be given it. You know, some people. I mean, like I said, they gave him the doggone burial tribe, uh, uh, you know, authentic one. So, you know, I mean, if they didn't like what he was doing, they definitely probably would have never did that, right? You
yeah.
know what I mean?
There were doggone ritual masks, statues, altar pieces. A lot of the religious icons that are from the past, they probably don't even
Some people
practice that
probably took it.
anymore.
Some of it probably is taken. Yeah, some of it is probably taken. Like I said, they was the last of the one. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. I have it tabbed. I had it tabbed up. Because I know they was like one of the last guys or tribes to fall under the French rule, but I can't remember.
100,000 years ago seems to be a lot. Constitution. I don't think even humanity was back then. Sometimes I wonder.
I don't know where I read it at. I was looking at it when you was talking because it kind of I wanted to talk about it, but I don't know how I got misguided off of it. But anyway, so the next tab is the pneumo accordingly came down to earth and entered the anthill. That is to say, the sexual part of which they were themselves the issue. Thus, they were able, among their tasks, to defend their mother against possible attempts by their elder, the insidious jackal. At the same time, by their moist, luminous, and articulate presence, they were gorging that body which was forever defiled in the sight of God. Okay, so he uses God, capital God. That's the Christian, Abrahamic, monotheistic idea of God.
Is he respecting their God when he speaks that way,
That's
or is
why
he speaking the
I'm bringing
Christian
up.
God?
That's why I brought it up because he says God, God. So when you look at that, is that the bias, the cultural difference? Is that him in putting in there? Because the Dogon tribe has a main god. Matter of fact, here, just
I mean, does
for
Christianity have the registered trademark for the name God? I mean, God
I don't know.
come from gods, you know, and
Hey Grok, tell
terminology.
me if what's the main god for the Dogon tribe? Like the main god, like in Christianity, has God with the capital G. This is important right here. See if it works. Oh no, I gotta reset it. It won't.
Take your time. Yeah, I would imagine there's a bunch. That's why God has a bunch of names in the Christian religion, and also Jewish.
Okay, hold on. I'm about to bring it back up.
Yahweh.
I think when that's what we're going to talk about that too in the future. Don't worry, we gonna get there. I got some books on that. Hey Grok, so with the Dogon tribe, I need to know who is the main god in the Dogon tribe that's equivalent to the main god in Christianity or monotheistic religion. The capital God. This is important right here. This is what I was saying right here about their main god. Because they got one just
in
like
the Dogon religion, the supreme creator god, equivalent to the capital G god in Christianity, is Amma, also
yep.
spelled Amma. He's the sky god who created the universe, the stars, earth, and everything else, and he's considered all-knowing and all-seeing. He's often described as somewhat distant or impersonal, so the Dogon focus more of their daily rituals on spirits, like the Nomo, rather than praying directly to Amma all the time.
You see why? That's why I was saying earlier. Here, let me see if I can find the tab when I was talking about Amma or Amma, how they say it. Where was it? Where's the tab at? That's why I was saying for the Dogon tribe, they have their own main god, just like Christianity has. Where is it? Right here. Oh man, I got. I'm telling you, when I have to go through these tabs, I hate them. But anyway. When you asked that question, if he was using, the Christianity or his religious background, I feel like for that part, maybe that was because he said God, or unless, and I hate to put it like this because some people don't like this and they'll get mad about it. But how I always say that everything leads to God. There's always one God, or at least a supreme being, or something. That's at least what everybody says when it comes to their ancient text. This is an example of this. He gives me an idea that um, there is one God, because he said God. I found the tab. It was the god Amma. It appeared took a lump of clay. That's when I was talking about Amma, the guy, the main guy. So that's why I tell everybody, when it comes to understanding these gods or these individuals, are we using our own thoughts when we translate and send this information off, or are we using the exact words? Because I wonder if Ogotamele actually said God with a capital God, like he meant that, or did he say Amma? You see what I'm saying? Because and then is Marcel Gurel taking everything that he says says everything about Amma and applies God to it? You know what I mean? Because the pneumo were the spirits. Well, how else would you describe spirits in Christianity? Well, some people would say angels, right? Because they weren't always physical, right? They were invisible.
You asked about Robert K.G. Temple and what proof did he have? And what you just mentioned about Amma is one of the proof. And he looked at it in a different lens. He says that the prediction of Jesus Christ, that they already knew that Jesus was going to come. That was the idea of what Robert K.G. Temple was when he was looking through what like their god Amma was so similar to Christianity. Instead of seeing it from Christianity down to Dogon, he was looking at it from Dogon to Christianity, from their timeline and up.
Well, let's look at it like this. You said that Jesus Christ was basically, he was looking from that perspective and that they were coming, right? Well, let's break it down like this.
Or that, the Son of God, or
you said
God,
they was going to come in to save
God
them.
is God.
He was going that somebody was going to come and save them, basically, right? Now, if the idea is that you're in slavery and that you're in bondage, you're always going to have faith and hope that somebody's going to come and save you. So you don't even have to even wonder if Jesus is going to do it. If he didn't do it, somebody else would have done it. Is basically the idea.
There were a couple people in other religions that did.
Well, of course, that's what I'm saying, is that if he didn't do it, somebody else was going to do it. He literally sent out people to help teach his teachings and heal people. So if he didn't do it, somebody else was going to. Right? So, but the thing is a lot of people want to see Jesus himself. If I'm dying of something and he sent somebody to heal me, I'm not going to tell the person that he sent to heal me not to heal me. I'm gonna be like, yo, heal me. And if anything, Jesus, come back and finish what this fool couldn't do. You know what I'm saying? But the idea is you just gave away your blessing. He probably couldn't be everywhere at one time. Or we know he couldn't be everywhere at one time. So the next tab is, so this is basically about, I want to say, but mounds.
If you're physical, you can't be everywhere at one time. But if you're God, you can be everywhere.
And that's what he was. He was physical. People believe he was a physical being walking this earth. Right?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the obvious truth. He was born.
Yeah, that he was physical enough to be crucified, put on a cross, right, and sacrificed. Right? Basically, he. This is the thing. We talked about sacrifice, and I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to bring it up later. Because it's actually in this book about the sacrifices, but I'll bring it up now while it's on my mind. Jesus Christ sacrificed himself for us. And in this book, he talked about sacrifices and humans sacrificing humans. Well, humans don't sacrifice themselves. If we look at that today, we wouldn't look at that as a sacrifice if somebody willingly knew that they could have saved themselves.
It's right? The philosophy or the idea that nobody had at the time. And then it was something new.
But I'm trying to avoid certain words for a reason. So I want you to pay attention. Today we wouldn't look at that as a sacrifice. If you knew you was letting somebody take your life away, there's certain things that we even use. We even have a term when there's law. I'm just going to say the word law enforcement. There's a certain word with law enforcement where people would do things so law enforcement would be forced to react a certain way. There's that's why I say we have to pay attention to the words that are being told at us, and that's why I said earlier, that first comment you made, that very first comment about the culture, when you talked about that culture, that right there, that's the whole point. Is you didn't know that the first tab was literally him talking and equivalating the Muslim Africans to the Dogon tribe. And we know that I don't know if they still do it as today, but the Dogon tribe are known as part of
He-
practicing cannibalism.
Remember, he had a certain biasness too, because he seemed to keep that tribe like a museum piece. Like
Well,
they
that's
were
what
pure. They were pure. They are from the Dogon tribe and should be untouched. Like in some way, like he separated them. He didn't like invite them into the world as you're human along with us. You know, that feeling of humanity. No, you're separate from us. So they are special in that regard.
Mhm.
And it felt like um he didn't want to do anything else but maintain. He viewed them like a museum piece. Is pretty much what other professionals have said, and I have a few names that they write in their peer reviews and thesis. That's what they said about him. They really dogged on him. After he died, they really dogged on him on
A lot of
on
people
on the
did.
negative things.
But see,
Yeah,
this is there's a
these are
lot of research.
professionals,
But this
not
is
just
this
people like you and
but
I, common people out on the streets.
this is
These are
this is
professionals with
this
doctorate
is
degrees.
this is why I say this was perfect that you said that too. This is the second perfect thing you said. Because this is what's interesting to me. Even though he
Thank you.
talked and had a certain idea,
I'll take
cultural
it.
idea of certain people, um, I think he was just stereotyping people because of his ideas of what he was taught at that time. A lot of people looked at. I mean, you can look at the cartoons that we grew up on at that time frame. I'm an '80s baby, but I watched cartoons going all the way back, as early as possible. And you can
Went down
definitely
memory
see all
lane
the
here.
you can see all the stereotypes and all the stuff that happened in there. Black skin, big red lips, walking around savagery, doing crazy things, certain stuff. And this is in simple cartoons like,
Or they had Indians from India
yeah,
in the cartoons, and they would call them a certain name because that was like a common name
yeah.
where people would remember them
But
by.
but I want you to think about this. This
Jesus.
is at the time. This is at this time, right? Now, Marcel Grial wrote this book, okay, and this is what he said. This is interesting because I want you to pay attention to the word I'm about to use. That's going to stick out because it's going to hit a perfect part. The ancestral constructor had assembled on the flat roof the tools and implements of a forge. For his future task was to teach men the use of iron to enable them to cultivate the land. So he's basically saying that the Dogon tribe and the people of the Dogon tribe are the beginning of the people who understood how to bring iron to the table. But when you read about the pyramids and all this stuff, people say, well, how did they have this knowledge? Did this happen before? Now, one thing that I learned about the Dogon tribe and the haplogroups and their genetic makeup is that if you look at the Dogon tribe and the Egyptians and the Sumerians, their haplogroup basically shows a straight line, meaning one led to another, to another, to another. It was just
Up the river, buddy. Yeah.
And what's interesting is that a lot of people academically, peer-reviewed articles, books, and all kinds of stuff say the Dogon people were the people who inhabited the land of Egypt before the Egyptians. That's where we get Kemet from. They were the Kemets or part of the Kemets. It's part of it, not all, but part of it. Just like the surrounding area of that area were part of Kemet.
And they were probably pushed out by invading forces.
That's exactly what happened. They were pushed away from the Islamic Revolution. The Muslim people were coming in and pushing.
This wasn't just a one-time thing. This is a continuous thing throughout the ages.
So that's what I'm saying. So they moved.
France is located in the worst part of Europe, and they were attacked so many times. You know how many times France wasn't going to be France? They got lucky.
But that's what I'm saying.
It would be a different country today.
With these people, they say that they inhabited the land of Egypt. So some of them moved away from there down south, and some of them moved further northeast or east side to where Mesopotamia is. And you can see that in their haplogroups and their genetics. But not only that, like I said, I'm reading a book on symbols. I have a lot of books on signs and symbols and stuff like that, and how they, mimic certain other stuff. You can see that the symbols from the Dogon tribe is the same as some of the people from around the world. There's signs from the Dogon tribe that are found on the Aboriginal Australians. They have similar signs and symbols. The Egyptians have signs and symbols. The Sumerians have the signs and symbols. It's just how far you go back to see where it was taken from. And it's very interesting because, like I said,
Are we back with the Europeans being in Australia and maybe they taught them about those symbols, or did the
no, those
symbols
symbols
come
been
before
out
the
there.
Europeans?
That was in the Aboriginal Australians. Those are the people who inhabited the land of going back, what they say, 50, 60,000 years. That's the last time I checked. Let me see. Hold on. We can ask Rock right now. I'll verify right now. Just for
Some people, I bring up these questions because some people just don't know.
hey Grok, what's the oldest Aboriginal Australian tribe out there? Does it go back 50 to 60,000 years? Just come in.
There's no single oldest tribe. Aboriginal Australians comprise hundreds of distinct language groups and nations, all descending from the same ancient migration. The Marar people, traditional owners of the Majedbebe rock shelter in Arnhem Land, are linked to the earliest known archaeological site, with evidence of human activity around 65,000 years ago. Your 50 to 60,000 year range is spot on for the widely accepted timeline of when their ancestors arrived in Australia. Some studies push it to 65,000 or more, though there's ongoing debate among archaeologists about the exact dating. What we call the oldest continuous culture on Earth refers to the unbroken line of these peoples and their traditions, not one specific tribe. The Yolnu in Arnhem Land are often highlighted for their incredibly rich oral histories, passed down for hundreds of generations.
Hey, real quick, verify something. Dogon tribe and
Rock
signs in
remembers
their
your
symbols,
previous searches.
and then the Aboriginal Australians signs and symbols. Is there some similarities in them that you know of?
Not really. No direct similarities. Dogon symbols come mostly from their wooden masks, sculptures, and cosmology, like abstract geometric
Spirals.
patterns, spirals, and figures tied to their creation myths and
And the
serious
U
lore.
shapes of people. Yep.
Aboriginal Australian symbols are super practical and landscape based. U shapes for people, circles for water holes or camps,
No, you
animal
know what?
tracks like emu prints or kangaroo tails, all tied to Dreamtime stories and the land. They're
So
from completely different
The
continents,
the
with
curl
zero
of the
known
tail
historical
of the
context.
monkey.
So any overlap
yeah,
is just
that's what I
basic
was, yeah, the
human stuff.
spirals.
Lines, circles, spirals show up everywhere.
Yep.
Some folks online
In
stretch
nature.
comparisons with Göbekli Tepe carvings or whatever, but that's reaching. The styles and
Yeah.
meanings don't line up.
Yeah, see, that's what I was gonna say is that when people talk about these signs, it's very interesting, man. Look, man, I'm not even close to it yet. So this is the book that I'm talking about that I'm reading right here. Okay.
Symbols, yeah.
This book right here. I'm not even done reading it. But look at all these freaking tabs. This is how much I have left right
Bro,
here.
why even have paper? Why even have paper?
These are all the tabs. So when I'm saying something is because I just read it. That's why when Rock was talking about spirals, I was like, that's the similarities that they talk about, and that's part of what they talk about here, because this is the dictionary of symbols. So this book right here is literally telling you where it's almost like you remember how I always talk about the etymologically
Dictionary has
definitions of
teeth.
certain words. Yeah, like I'm telling you, bro. Look at this. That's a lot of that's
Boy,
bro. This book is like 1,100
it's
pages,
supposed
bro.
to feed you knowledge, not eat you alive. Jesus,
Bro,
man, you gave
and
it teeth.
and that's why I say, I don't only speak on what I've researched myself, what I've read, what I've
I mean, I bought
finished.
some of the stocks on those tabs, by the way. It's
Man,
gone up.
I'm probably the one that's keeping them in business. I go over them a lot. I'm telling you,
It
and
surpassed
not only that,
SpaceX.
you see the spaces. You see, the funny thing is just you see some of these tabs, but
The
some of these
stock price
tabs,
has surpassed SpaceX just this week. So
I want to show you something. You see some of these tabs, but some of these tabs have multiple tabs inside the pages because it's covering a whole bunch of things. That's why I say I can't go over every single tab. I just go over what I found interesting. It's only because you got to be careful. You can't copyright and all that other stuff. So it's basically a review of the
Well,
book.
yeah, you got to be prepared and all that. So
Well, I do prepare myself. I mean,
that's what the tabs are for.
Hold on, let me see. Yeah, see, so look, so right here. So you see this one right here. You see, let me make it bigger. You see,
I don't know how you found that.
you see, because it's a lot of them. You see, one of them shows it. The white one shows where it's at, but then I have two more tabs inside it that's important. So just because you see these right here, it's probably like 20-30% more of this within the pages itself. So that's why I tell
you got memory tabs.
Yeah, basically, and that's why I tell people, you don't believe what I say. You don't have to believe what I say. Just go get the book. I already have it. I already go over it.
Bro, if I don't believe you, who am I gonna believe?
Look, I don't have that many tabs on this one. I don't have that many tabs in here, and the reason why is because like I said, I've already did a podcast with and I know what most of this stuff repeats the same thing, and most of it is you have to read the whole chapter. So I'm picking the paragraphs that I can talk about because I would have to read the whole chapter. Like that's why I read what he did 33 days. But I'm giving you the bread and butter. Everybody wants to know how the creation story came about. Well, I gave you the creation story. Who are the Dogon tribe? Well, I gave you who they are. It's the little things like that. And this is another thing. So you remember I was just talking about that tab about how they were enabling them to cultivate the land by teaching them iron, right? The very next tab after that it says it is a reminder that without the fire of the smithy and the iron of hoes, there will be no crops to store. So this is the idea that these people were cultivating land. And a lot of people will say the Sumerians, Egyptians, and all these other people are individuals who are considered founders of agriculture, but we've been practicing agriculture for hundreds and thousands of years. It was just different ways. I mean, there was some people who were picking berries. That's agriculture.
Depends on the environment you're in and the hillsides and the weather. The different changes of the weather. They had to record all that stuff so they could predict what would be the next. What is it? The next time that rains won't come in, or when they're going to have floods. I mean, imagine living right next to a river.
So, hey, you remember this? Remember
and get flooded out.
You remember when you were just talking about the monkey's tail, right? The spiral.
Yeah,
on the monkey's tail. So here's a tab right here. This is why I say that the Dogon and all these other people have these similarities. It says the row of beads or the copper ring of the right ankle recalls the circular bone at the end of the spirit's tail. Strictly speaking, no ornament should be worn on the left ankle. So that's why I say a lot of these they
teach us
mythologies. They have almost the same ideas. Like I learned that sometimes you might not be able to use an eagle because you don't have an eagle in your land, so you would use maybe a hawk because you do have hawks
or a sparrow
or whatever,
or a chicken.
And so, but this is another tab. This is interesting. I'm telling you, this stuff gets so interesting because, like I said, I can't talk about everything in this book, but I talk about the stuff that I hear people talk about the most, and then I take in what I
get canceled by Mexico.
No, we're not.
I just said chicken. They have other birds besides chickens. They got their own, the Quetzalcoatl. That bird. Yeah, the Quetzalcoatl. Yeah, that's a beautiful bird, by the way. So it's illegal to take their feathers, by the way. Just like it's illegal to grab eagle feathers here.
They got the next tab. He talks about pottery, and he says pottery was born in the smithy. The smith's wife was drying the sun a pot in the sun a pot, which she had modeled like one of the spears of the bellows, but finding it did not harden quickly enough, she put it near the fire. She then discovered that the clay was baking and becoming hard, and so she got into the habit of putting the pots she molded by the fire. See, this is why I say this is why I'm glad you did your research, and this is why I said earlier what you said about
you did amazing on your research.
You said something. The third thing that you said that struck me that was interesting, or it could have been the second or first thing, but the third thing that I have to say that you said interesting, because like I said, I remember what this book talks about for the most part. You said most inventions happen by accident. That's what you said earlier, right? And that's a great example of how we don't need extraterrestrial to teach us anything. An accident happened. This, I'm going to read it again just so that people can understand, because they probably didn't understand why this was important. This is an invention of pottery according to the Dogon tribe. Okay. And it says pottery was born in the smithy. The smith's wife, so basically the person that's doing the iron, the bronze, and all that other stuff, the metal, messing with metallurgy and all that crap, his wife was drying in the sun a pot which she had molded like one of the spheres of bellows.
Mm.
But finding it did not harden quickly enough, she put it near the fire. So she was impatient. She was like, I need this thing harden up. We're not going to leave it in the sun anymore. We're going to put it in the fire. That's how pottery came to be for them. She then discovered that the clay was baking and becoming hard. And so she got into the habit of putting the pot she molded by the fire. So that's an accident.
And then that's where the kiln was invented.
Exactly. 100%.
Probably. I mean, how do you build a kiln out of rock?
But why would the smith need, why would the smithy need?
And after that, pizza.
Why would the smithy need water? What's important about water? Well, they need the water to put the metallurgy in there. They need water all the time. So he was probably asking his wife to go with the lamb skin or whatever type of thing they had, say, hey, can you go bring me some water? She was helping him out for whatever business they were working in, because that was their business, right? And
don't go too far. You could make bread inside an oven as well. So when did they come up with yeast and bread?
Well, no. Well, let's stick on this for a second. Like I said, he was asking her for water. She was like, yo, this is tiring. This is hard work. I need something that's going to help me bring more water and carry a lot more. So she was like, well, hell, the sun is taking too long for the sun to dry these out. I got about 20 of these things that need to be dried. The sun ain't helping. Let me throw about 5 of these in the fire and see what happened. And by accident, she created hardened pottery. That's not hard. That's why I say when we look at things, we have to look at it as a aspect of, is it possible for this to be this way? That's why I brought up the whole fact about seeing the star system the Dogon tribe talks about. Can humans see it with the naked eye? Well, most can't. I mean, you wearing glasses, so we already know you have eye issues. I just went to the VA just a few days ago because I need new glasses. That's why sometimes it's hard for me to read what I'm saying here, but I'm not going to hold off my show because I ain't got no glasses. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, I try to understand that, is it possible for other people to have this ability, this possibility? If I don't eliminate all other possibilities, then I'm stuck with the only possible thing that can happen. But I have to eliminate all the other ones, and I have to start with the human factor first. Now, if the Dogon tribe talks about iron, and I read the book from Herodotus that actually talks about that the iron was used to help build the pyramids, which we will go over in the future because I have all his books and we'll go over his books. He literally talks about how iron was used to help build the pyramids. Okay, so if iron has been around that time frame, we know it's been around that long. So the question when people talk about bronze and this, that, and the third, that just tells me they didn't read Herodotus' books. But then the idea that the Dogon tribe, the people of the Dogon tribe inhabited the land of Egypt first, before those people that we consider Egyptians of today, then the possibility of that knowledge was always given from the Dogon tribe, right? So the idea is the fact that is, most people believe what they believe because they've been conditioned. Like I said, if people want to know how the pyramids were built in Egypt, go read Herodotus' books. Read all his books.
Just to reel it back into cultures, there's another thing I wanted to bring up about how cultures religiously do things. Like they systematically do something, even though there's a better way to do it. I brought up about the bread. Remember, I brought that up. That only exists in Mediterranean and northern area, but in Africa, they didn't. They had ovens. They could have baked bread in ovens, but it never dawned on them. But you can't say they're dumb or they couldn't, they weren't intelligent enough to think and put
Maybe
it
they
together.
couldn't, but they knew that
No,
it
it was
their
a
water.
rich. No. But what I'm mentioning is that their culture is a ritual. They probably didn't do it because culturally they don't make bread that way, even though it tastes better that way. I mean, I think so. I love oven baked bread, but
Yeah, but that
for
doesn't.
them, they made it differently. They put it on a fire and they never put it in an oven. That's how they made it. Their
Depend. I
flatbread.
mean, I've been to Afghanistan and Iraq, and I can tell you they make bread differently everywhere.
Yeah.
Over there, some of them do it in the oven, some of them do it over open fire, some of them do it. There's traditional ways that they do things.
Well, I'm talking about in the past, like
Well,
they
still,
they were
still,
used to doing it a
well,
certain way.
that's what I'm saying is that in those places they still do things the traditional way. Which that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
proper terminology, traditional.
mhm.
Yeah, always remember that whenever you're looking at another culture or you're going to a different state or you're going to another country, tradition. You have to respect the traditions of other people because that way you can understand the language and you can understand the people and you actually do better. You do better in communicating.
Yeah, I'm going to show this real quick because this is important. This is supposed to be the genealogy of the Dogon tribe. So this is a picture of it right here. And this is where it says, hold on.
It's a little. There we go. There we go.
It says God without wife, God with wife. Then it talks about how with wife, it's a jackal is single, and then the pneumo is the twin, the first word. Then you got the first man, first woman. Then you got the first man being the smith. Then you got the griot, the master word, and you just got everything in between it.
Bro,
so this is the idea.
Is that not Jesus?
Well,
the birth of Christ. That's pretty much it, right?
Let me put this to you in better understanding. So you got God in Christianity. The jackal and pneumo would probably be Adam and Eve, right? Or I'm sorry, not in Adam and Eve. The fallen angels and or the daughters of
about
women.
Mary.
Then you got the first man and first woman that could be Adam and Eve, right? Then the smith. Well, when you got the smith, first man and first woman, that's what people will stop at because everything in between. But you also got to think about Cain and Abel. Who was Cain and Abel? Agriculture and what?
Two brothers, yeah.
But what did they do?
Farming, agriculture, watching over the sheep.
Yeah, so that's no different than because one
irrigation, farming, and also maintaining the land and the perimeter.
But this is the thing.
Security as well.
He says God, G-O-D, not Amma. Right? Where's the word Amma on here? That's what I'm saying. Is he using his word?
That's probably the ancient terminology.
No, he says God. That's Christianity, bro.
Well, yeah, that's Christianity.
That's Christian, or I should say, at least the monotheistic religion, the Abrahamic faith. But my point is this. But my point is that instead of saying God, it should actually say Amma, right? Or am I mistaken? Because Amma is supposed to be.
Why did he what you're asking is why did he exclude the name of Amma when he mentioned God? Because maybe he believed that Amma and Christian God was the same, one and the same. Look at me coming up with that.
that leads me to the last tab, which it contradicts.
You led me there, man. You led me there.
No, I want you to remember that because
you made me think it out.
This is
You're good.
Let's see, where is it at?
I'm good.
Make sure I read it.
Yeah, he led me right down that path.
Okay, here we go. So this cult seemed to show that some special quality was attributed to the ancestry of twins, which we know as the pneumo. It was popular belief that their mother had been touched during pregnancy by a spirit. It would never be called a pneumo because spirits are pneumo. Pneumo is a spirit. For that was too dangerous a name, too much for a human mouth to utter. Now, you got to remember, no man was able to say God's name correctly because it was too dangerous, or see him for that matter. The children of such mother would therefore be essentially different from other children. So that was the last tab. And I can tell you, reading this book, because I didn't tab this up because it's already right here.
It showed up earlier.
Where's it at? This is the signs of the zodiac when I was talking about it earlier.
Yeah, that's the original signs of the zodiac. But that's they say that that's modern. When I was looking up signs of the zodiac, the ones that we look at are actually modern zodiac.
Well, I'm
But
not gonna say this is
the ancients actually had their own zodiac, like like different animals up in the sky, actually, or different things that we can't even imagine, today.
50.
Right? Am I right or wrong on this, Rebirth? Because I'm sure that you've read it too. Like the zodiacs were named differently and they were seen differently in different parts of the world and in different cultures.
Yeah.
Unlike today, now they're all one thing and everybody follows that same zodiac all over the world. But back then, everybody had separate interpretations of what the star systems are and which stars meant something. It's a beautiful thing.
This book is interesting because there's a lot of stuff in here that you have to read to understand, and it's not just reading one paragraph to understand. So he talks a lot about numbers in here, what each finger means and stuff like that. I didn't have it tabbed up because it's just the whole page actually, so it's not just one tab. You actually have to read the whole tab. So it talks about what each part of the body meant and what part of the body was supposed to be like what. So here's a new number system of the body, and he talks about
What is that? Acupuncture?
Man, it's a whole. So on the bottom it says the social system of.
That's the first thing that came to mind when I saw that. I was thinking about acupuncture.
Like, okay, so I give you an example. So the Kawi 7 and 8. So 7, 8. So see where 7, 8 is. 7, 8 is where the elbows is at. Where the elbows will be at, right? It says right here.
It says copper.
Yeah, it says copper. It says the numbers relating to speech.
Tridactyls had copper.
Yeah. That's why I was telling you to look up similarities, because there's some similarities in here.
Yeah, they had copper metals inside the tridactyls, which are the 3-finger, 3-toe beings. That's why they're called tridactyls. And some people, and there was a guy arguing that they were all hoaxes. They're all hoaxes, but in reality, they're not. Only 2 of them were hoaxes from the airport, and they were just some artists created it so they could get millions of dollars from a rich person. But the ones in the University Ica are real life.
Yeah, so I was right. Hey, so right here, the bellows. Remember I was talking about how the lady created the clay, the pottery, the bellows. This is on a different page. It's not tabbed up. I was just looking over some stuff. It says the bellows was made out of 2 vessels of unfired powdered earth and a white sheepskin. So when I was talking about sheepskin and lambskin and all that other stuff, that's what they was using. So, and they talked about the hammer was in the form of a large iron block with a cone-shaped handle and a square strike. So these people knew about iron. These people know exactly how to use iron. Like I said, this book. Let me see what was the date this book was written. It was first written when? Hold on. It's by the University of Oxford Press. I never noticed that.
It's a legit book, right?
It says international. It says first published by Oxford University Press in 1965.
Yeah, we could believe everything it says now. It's the absolute facts.
No, I'm not saying I don't know. I don't believe. I don't believe everything.
Matter of fact, messing with you.
No.
I'm just messing with you.
No, I just want to make it. I just want to make it clear that I think like my thing is this. If I'm going to talk about the Dogon tribe before we even have a discussion, if somebody says, "Hey, man, can you come on my podcast and talk about the Dogon tribe?" All I'm going to do is go grab this book, and I'm going to stick to this. Now, if they say, "Well, Carl Sagan said this," and Michael Jackson said that, I'm like, I'm only going off of this book. I'm not going off of what anybody else said. I'm not going off of, he say, she say. I'm going off of this book right here. This is my source. Now, if they say, well, what do you know about the updated information? Well, absolutely, I do. I just had a discussion with Larry Scranton. Did I not? I talked about that, right? He's an author of a couple of books from the Dogon tribe himself, and he talks about the science of the Dogon. So I can say I can use him. There's other people also. There's other books which I will go over in the future because I have a couple of other books that talk about the Dogon tribe. But this was on the list, so this is the one that I'm good at. So this book was actually originally published in 1948 as DU. The near classic offers a unique and firsthand account of the myth, religion, and philosophy of the Dogon, a Sudanese people often regarded as savages. The Dogon are revealed to live by a cosmogony, a metaphysic and religion which puts them on a par with the peoples of antiquity and which Christian theology might indeed study with profit. In recording his 33 days conversation with Dogon Temeli, an elder of exceptional intelligence and wisdom, the author has succeeded in conveying the man's highly individual style. The result is a remarkable portrayal of the Dogon cosmology, and then told as it were from the inside, and that's on the back of the book. So 1948, it was written under a different name, and then it got basically translated. So now my question is...
Yeah, go ahead. Ask the question.
Now my next question is can we ChatGPT Grok the French version and see how the language changed? And that's something that would be, somebody who was very interested in knowing that. You know what I mean?
You mentioned that they don't follow the Dogon, never follow the astronomical charts that we follow, like 2,500 years ago. Our zodiac started 2,500 years old. That's our modern zodiac, by the way. Even though that's a long time ago for us, this is how old this cultural group of people are. The Dogon are so old. We're talking about much older, thousands and thousands of years older. And so they didn't follow our zodiac. But when this anthropologist went there, he compared the modern zodiac with their zodiac. And that was like a big, grave mistake in a way, because you can't really connect both of them and try and translate the modern zodiac with their holistic, spiritual zodiac. It's completely two different things.
You know what? I used to believe that too, just recently. But
this is what Walter Van Beek said, though.
No, I think honestly, because now that I'm
anthropologist,
when I'm reading this book, the symbols book that I've been telling you about, they mention the Dogon tribe religiously when it comes to any of the foundationing understanding of what we know about any myths. Like literally, they mention the Dogon tribe more than they mention the Sumerians. I'm not kidding.
Really?
Matter of fact, two things that they mention the most about: Masonry and the Dogon tribe. There's two things that most of those tabs, I'm going to say probably about 20 or 30 of them, 30% of them is probably Dogon and Freemasonry, because they literally talk about them a lot. I mean, a lot. And it's interesting because there's a lot of things that I learned in this book that a lot of people don't talk about. That's why I always try to understand the meaning of words. My wife is actually the one that put me on that. Is that I actually have dictionaries. And I got an etymology dictionary that's over there. I got the signs and symbols. I got a thesaurus. I got Webster's. I got dictionaries, everything. So words mean something to me. What I mean by that is, if you're telling me that the Dogon said this, I want to understand it in their language, or at least the closest to it. So I'm going to see what the origins of the word. Then I want to understand the word that it was used at that time frame. So if we're talking about this book was written, in 1948, words that was used in 1948 do not mean the same thing in 2026. We know that. Don't even have to go over any words for that. So my thing is that because he uses some words in this book that will blow your mind. Like it's crazy. Some of the stuff that I hear people reading, I'm like, yo, that wouldn't fly here in 2026. Some talking about people getting canceled. Yeah, you'll definitely see that and hear that. But my point is that the tradition, the similarities, the differences, the cultures, the ideas, the religions. We know that every culture, civilization has one mighty powerful God. And then that God has something that's either equal or less powerful than the main God, which is usually the adversary, right? Some people would say for Christianity, it would be the devil, right? But when he said the word God, capital G-O-D in here, that's telling me is he
And I got
using
something for you after that when you mentioned God.
Go ahead.
Well, did you know that God for the Dogon tribe was the Orion Belt?
Yeah.
That's what they looked at. Most of the people here in the chat, they don't know that. They don't know that's what they were looking at in the skies as the sun god. Like Amma was the main god in their whole culture. And that was Orion's belt. And what sits on Orion's belt? Sirius cluster. That's Sirius B is up in Orion's belt, which is wild. And then not too far on the west side of Africa and precise cosmic clock. Now, you brought this up because everything is agricultural, not because they were, hey, check out the stars. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's none of that, man. Maybe they did. I don't know. But the thing is that everything they did was survivability. So it's agriculture. So they used the Pleiades system for the West. And that was a major star group.
Yeah, that's the rain. I believe is the rainy season for some people to start their agriculture and stuff like that. I think it's like in June, if I'm not mistaken, the Pleiades system. But it's interesting because where else is Orion at? That's very popular in this world. What is it?
It's straight up, buddy.
No, where's it at? Where's it at on this planet? What do most people correlate the Orion's belt to?
The equator.
No, what else?
Oh, what do you mean?
You're right there. You're right there, man. You're right there.
What? The center of the Earth?
We talk about it. We talk about it sometimes.
Give me a clue because I have many ideas. My head is filled with ideas right now.
Here, I want to bring it up on ChatGPT because this one's actually interesting.
And
hey, Grok, give me the correlation between the Orion Belt and the pyramids of Giza, and how accurate and is that still a theory, or do people still believe that?
In the Dogon tribe, they did divination with sand as well.
Now, I bring that up for a reason because
the Orion correlation theory says the three main Giza pyramids were deliberately laid out to mirror the stars of Orion's belt.
The
Khufu pyramid to the brightest star Al-Nitak, Khafra to Al-Nilam, and the smaller Menkaura to Mintaka. It was proposed by Robert Bow-Wow in 1989 and got popular in the 90s with books like The Orion Mystery. Some versions tie it to a much older date around 10,500 BCE, linking the Sphinx to Leo II. It's visually striking if you overlay them, and some studies found a correlation between pyramid sizes and star brightnesses. But mainstream Egyptologists and astronomers call it fringe pseudo-archaeology. The angles don't actually match. Pyramids sit at about 38 degrees from north, while Orion's belt was at 47 to 50 degrees even back then. And the offset of the small pyramid goes the wrong way, unless you flip the map upside down. No ancient Egyptian texts support it, and the mainstream dating for the pyramids is around 2,550 BCE. It's still very much a theory that a lot of people believe in alternative history circles, on YouTube, and in books by folks like Graham Hancock. But in actual archaeology and Egyptology, it's widely rejected. The resemblance is seen as coincidence or selective pattern matching rather than intentional design. The debate's been going strong for 30 years and hasn't really shifted.
I'm about to bring some information. Hey, Grok, tell me the correlation of the Orion's belt in agriculture, and has it been used for agricultural needs? This is why I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get everybody on page when I talk about this.
Orion's belt and the whole constellation have been used in agriculture for centuries, but not like a precise GPS, more as a seasonal clock. In ancient Egypt, Orion represented Osiris, the god of rebirth and agriculture. Its pre-dawn rising around midsummer signaled the Nile's flood, which was everything for planting. No flood, no crops. In many other cultures, farmers watched Orion's position to know when to plant or harvest. For example, its appearance in the evening sky in autumn often meant finish harvesting, winter's coming. Some indigenous groups, like in the Philippines or among Native American tribes, used its rising or setting to time rice planting or other crops. It's still a theory? No. This one's well documented in folklore and traditional knowledge. People really did use it. The Pyramid Orion link is the controversial one. This practical farming use is straightforward and accepted.
So this is what I tell people when people say, well, why did they build the pyramids and line up with the Orion's belt? Well, they didn't, first of all. It's not exact. We all know that. And if extraterrestrials had anything to do with the advanced mathematics and technology, I'm pretty sure they could have made it very precise. But
but it was 6,000 years ago. It was in a lower orbit. It was in the lower portion of the sky than it is today, that is up in the north. And someone brought that up in the chat. Thank you for bringing that up in the chat, Anna. And I appreciate that.
And that's what I'm saying, is that most of these things can go to agriculture. Agriculture is literally the foundational backbone of our survival. Why wouldn't we use something like that for agriculture if that's the best clock that we can have? Remember, back in the old days, computers weren't this small type of computers that we had. They had whole buildings that was a computer. Now we're lucky to carry it around in our phone, right in our hand.
Dude, our phone is so powerful now. And the next generation of phones have an AI chip in it. Like AI. Like we're going to have AI specifically, like an actual chip. They already came out, NVIDIA and all that. They came out with a chip that is AI combined with everything else. It's insane.
Yeah, but my point is that they built this pyramid. They built these pyramids for whatever reason they did, and had many different possibility reasons. It wasn't just one. But the idea of why they built it the way they did was because of the simple fact that it was the easiest way to determine agricultural needs.
Easy.
I mean, for them.
You see how big the stones are?
People, and
doesn't look easy. I break my back just thinking about it.
Think about this. It's easy for us to maintain. It isn't easy for us to build.
Well, I'd say this is the one thing. It lasts longer. A lot longer than any other material on Earth.
But the information says that if there was no flood, there was no crops. So this was a very important thing for these people at that time frame. And also, we also know that we know when this was first proposed. This was first proposed in 1989. So we know where this information comes from. This doesn't come from ancient people. It doesn't say, because if it did, then nobody would argue what the pyramids were used for, right? And nobody really paid attention to the Orion's belt, because the people who are academically don't believe in that necessarily, or some of them don't, at least, right? Because it's not precise. It's not 100% accurate. It's close by. I mean, they could have built anything there, and they could have said, hey, that's part of the Orion's belt. They built it because of the Orion's belt, right? We don't know that. But what we do know that is that it was proposed in 1989, and in the book, like the Orion Mystery, and some versions tied to it much older date, around 10,000 BC, linking the Sphinx to Leo too. So you got these different theories, but we know that as far as right now, what the facts are is the simple fact that it was proposed by Robert Duvall. So let's make sure. So Grok, tell me, so you're telling me the Orion correlation was never ever mentioned in any other text, ancient text at that. It was only just in recent of 1989. And this was what people would do. They would ask Grok or ChatGPT for verification. That's what the hell I would do. Shit.
Yeah, that's right. The specific idea that the three Giza pyramids were built to mirror the stars in Orion's belt, that's brand new. First proposed by Robert
See?
Bauval in 1989. There's nothing in any ancient Egyptian text that says the pyramids were arranged that way. Ancient texts, especially the pyramid texts,
Yep, I read
do
that.
link
We'll go
Orion
over
to
that.
Osiris, the god of rebirth, and talk about the dead pharaoh becoming a star with Orion. But they never mention different pyramids representing different stars in Orion's belt, or anything like a ground map of the constellation. Mainstream Egyptologists point out there's zero textual support for that part. So the visual resemblance people notice today, it's a modern interpretation, not something the ancient Egyptians wrote down.
So my point is when you hear people like Billy
But
Carson,
does it need to be written? That's the question. It's like,
okay, so
when
so
does it
that's a good
become
thing.
too
Okay,
obvious
let me ask
to
you.
make
I
it
know.
known?
I got
That's
you. I
the
got
question
you.
we need to
I got
ask
you.
ourselves.
All right, so Grok, so you're telling me that even though it was never mentioned, is there any depictions, pictographic scripts, signs, symbols, annotations, anything like that that indicates that in any way? That's basically what you asked. And then we'll see what it says.
I'm saying that nobody has ever written anything about it because it's too obvious.
No, there aren't any ancient depictions, pictographs, symbols, or annotations that show the Giza pyramids representing Orion's belt or being laid out as a map of those stars. They did depict Orion, called Sa, linked to Osiris, as a man with three stars above his head in a row, like in the tomb of Senenmut from around 1470 BCE, about 1,000 years after the pyramids were built.
Mhm.
That's the closest thing, but it just shows they recognize the three-star pattern of the belt. Nothing connects those stars to the actual pyramids on the ground. The whole idea of the pyramids mirroring Orion's belt is a modern observation from 1989 with no ancient
See,
visual or
so
written reference to back it up.
my point is when you hear people like Billy Carson that says that, Giorgio Tsoukalos that says that, ancient aliens say that, anybody that's UFO extraterrestrials say that, they're saying that because the first time it was ever proposed was in 1989. Now, if they say that it was mentioned before that, now they have to provide information for that. They have to give you the facts. Like they said, they did depict Orion called Sa linked to Osiris, but that was 1,000 years after the pyramids were built.
I think the argument is
So-
that the Dogon tribe considered the belt as God, pretty much.
Well,
Like that was the main thing, and I think
I wouldn't say that.
they're connecting that in Africa to the belief. Like you said that not all. Remember how I brought up and I represented all of America culture, and I did that on purpose. Well, there's a possibility that even modern day people like Billy Carson and everything are representing all of African culture based on that star system.
But see,
as
I don't go
being-
off of probably.
being God.
I can't put words in somebody's mouth. I need to know what
I'm not
actually-
trying to.
No,
but
no, that's what I'm saying.
just
That's
bringing
what I'm
it up
No, that's
because
what I'm saying.
we discovered what the Dogon tribe
Yeah.
believed in
From-
and what they saw.
Well, from Marcel Greal's perspective, my point is that is not the fact that I don't. It's not about what is he right and other people are wrong. My point is that when people go out and say that the pyramids were built around the Orion belt because of this, that, and the third, my first question is where did you first hear that from? And if they say, well, I've seen it on YouTube, and I'm going to say, well, did you know in 1989, this individual is actually the founder of this idea? And then if they say, well, this person said it goes back to ancient times, and I'm going to say, well, what time frame are they going? Because the earliest depiction that we have of a 3-star over somebody's head is 1,000 years after the pyramids were built. So that's where we go with the facts. So my point is that there is nothing that actually says that. That's just an opinion that people go on because that's what they heard. What difference does it make? Because some people have actually said that people come from the Orion belt system. You actually talked about Pleiades being in that area, or Sirius, right? Which one was it?
Pleiades is further west, and then
No,
Sirius
you said
is
it
also
was-
west. Sirius B.
Well, you said something was close by. I can't remember that you was talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about Sirius. It's
It was-
it's west of the city.
Okay, so yeah, so that's what I'm saying is that
The
You know,
belt, the belt. If it was the belt, and I asked Gemini 3, I asked if it is the belt, if it was the belt, where would Sirius be? And it said it would be west of the city.
Hmm.
Or
Okay, so
west of the pyramids, within like a where they have houses and all
yeah.
that. But we don't know what's built there. Honestly, they got to do a lot of digging.
Well, my point is this, man, is that there's three main things that I've confirmed through this. One is there are people who can look at that star system. Okay, it's very rare people, but they can definitely see it, right? So that's something that I learned. So when people say that it's completely naked it's completely invincible to the naked eye, I'm like, that's not true. Okay. The second important thing that I've learned is that the god Amma. What?
You brought up Amma. One more thing that Gemini 3 says, that the orientation of the Orion belt from one star to the other, 6,000, or when was the pyramids built? Like 2000, they say 2500 BC. Yeah, a long time ago. The point from point aligns perfectly. That's why they bring it up. It aligns perfectly from one pyramid to the other. Nowadays, it's a bit like this. It doesn't align perfectly. But back then, it aligned perfectly, like on the ground of the earth, as it is up on the sky.
That's what people say. Well,
that's what Gemini 3 is saying. It mathematically brought it up. It says it's a perfect match.
There's nothing a perfect match.
Well, it's not completely perfect, but this is what people would say. Oh, it's perfect.
Well, they say it's perfect now. That's what I'm saying. They say
it was
perfect
close.
Now.
It was close.
No. Now they say this now. They say this now that is perfect.
Oh well.
That's what I'm saying is that even then it was better. It was probably more aligned back then, right?
Yeah.
You can tell the straight line
by the geometry.
There's certain ways to look straight up in the sky and do certain things, right? But if you move things just a meter to the left and right, that could be like a mile, 3 miles to 100 miles, depending on where you're going. But my point is that
wait. Here's one more thing before we get off that subject. We cannot discount that there's no information about the alignment of the stars and the building of the pyramids being together, because we really haven't discovered all of Egypt, and we haven't read everything of Egypt. We haven't even gotten
we can just say
majority of everything that's written about Egypt. We saw one place, a couple of walls, and some things, and say, "Oh, this is it. This is how it was built. This is the way it's going to be." But they keep uncovering more and more stuff.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so yeah, it says, but there's a wait, hold on. I want to make sure I read it right.
Headset keeps popping out. Get excited.
This is a lot to read. Okay, so yeah, it says the pyramids are not perfect straight line. The third is slightly offset, just like the stars are perfectly aligned. And they talk about this. This is from Harvard. So that's what I was saying. When they say things perfect, people say it's perfect now.
But you ask, where did they get the idea? And there you go. Those ideas are not like something that just came out of lights and fancy. They're not hypothetical. They actually compare it to astronomical charts.
No, of course they do. That would be the logical thing to do. I mean, a lot of things always had to do with something with the stars back then. I mean, everything had to do with the sky back then.
And like you mentioned before, is because of agricultural reasons.
Yeah.
Because the rivers would flood and they had to control the dams and the rivers and making sure everything flowed correctly. And they had tons of farms. And most likely they may have had a lot of trees until some idiot got in there and decided to cut all the trees, and all of a sudden all the sand came in. There could be a possibility. I don't know for sure. Did they always have trees there? And it stopped, like, that's what stopped sand from coming in.
They said that it had a lot of different things. There's different ideas and theories.
Kept the desert from flowing in.
Like I said, and the third thing that I think that I can say that I learned, or the second thing was Amma. was talking about how Amma and God was one and the same if you look at the most powerful gods. And the third thing that I found out interesting that I actually like about this, that I learned, that I took from all this information, is that the Orion's belt correlation. The idea came from 1989. So anybody that says it says it in the ancient text, they're just telling you that because they want to tell you that. But we know that right now it's in 1989, and unless somebody can bring a definite answer that they was talking about the Orion's belt and how they say they got a papyrus that says we built the pyramids according to the Orion's belt, and until then it's just a theory, because literally right here it tells you proposed by Robert Bauval in the 1980s, 90s, popularized in the Orion mystery. It suggests the three largest pyramids were basically correspond to the three stars in Orion's belt. Now, anybody can say what they want to say, but this is a guy that talked about that in 1989. To understand his ideas and his theories, what I am going to do right now, since we are on this case right now, I am
Let's
going to
go,
look for
chat.
his
Let's
book.
go.
No, I'm gonna look and see if I can find his book.
Charge it
on
up.
PDF, and then maybe I'll read it in the next couple of weeks, and we can go over it and break this whole shenanigans down.
Yeah, I'm still in my head. It's in my dome now. It's down like a conspiracy theory now.
Yep, here we go, right here.
That's what I'm imagining.
Yeah, so he has the book right here. So, like I said, if somebody says something, you better be right, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna go read your information. So this book is loading up on my screen right now. Let's see. We'll go over it. I'm gonna read this book because this is a very important book. I don't know why it's taking so long to.
It's a big book. How many pages? It says 00.
It does that with some of the books. I don't know why. I'm gonna actually download this book. I want to read it. We'll go over this book, and I can tell you what the facts are from the fiction, and whatever I find interesting, and we can go over it. Go back and tell you.
After I mentioned about there probably were a lot of trees over there, it's going through my head how some kind of leader and like some kind of pharaoh that said, I want to build a yacht. We got all the wood right here. Why do we need to go so far south and wait months to build my yacht? We could cut down all the trees here and we could make my yacht. And then when he did that, all the desert sand came in. That's how I imagine it. It's my assumption, but somebody said, I don't want to listen to the scholars.
Here we go.
Here it is, right here. 375. That took that long for 375 pages? Maybe it's a picture page.
The Genesis of the Orion. So here we go. I'm gonna read this book. And then we'll do it. Matter of fact, this will be the next book that I read. Because I'm actually reading a series of books right now. But he got pictures in here. Yeah, hell yeah.
Jeff Bezos was a pharaoh back then.
Yeah. So you got pictures in here. Scenes of the Book of the Dead, the weighing of the heart, representation of a worthy soul at the court of the Osiris. Osiris is okay. Yeah, I'm gonna read this book. We'll go over this book next. So that this is basically the end of the show. We went over the Dogon tribe.
We went over a lot of stuff. We ended up being astronomers than we are. But I mean, that's what this book hit upon a lot, was about the astronomy of and the agriculture of.
I'm sending this book to my Kindle. I'm sending this book to my Kindle right now.
And believe it or not, there was 3 questions that I still had, but there was just not enough time in the world.
No, ask them real quick.
No, not anymore, because we gone all over the place.
No, it's okay.
It will take another hour to go through all that stuff.
Oh. Well, they're
not quick questions. They are just
next week.
They're deep.
By next week, we're gonna go over this book right here, the Orion Mystery. We'll go over this one right here. This one right here. We'll go over this book right here.
Orion Belt.
Yeah, we'll go over it.
And what cultures used the Orion Belt, and for what reason?
We'll go over this book. Yeah, we'll go.
Oh, we should research. Everybody, this is your homework too. Actually, we do the homework for you, but we're gonna be looking into all the cultures of that follow Orion, or what they called the Orion Belt and what they named the Orion Belt. That's what we would be researching.
This will be the next book right here. Um, like I said, I hate to say this. I'm actually on a new journey on some stuff right now. So it's a very interesting journey. I'll be revealing the information soon.
Oh,
Uh, not in,
is it good or bad? Good or
it's good.
bad?
It's good. It's good.
It's good. Okay.
But
Is it have anything to do with your walkabout? You know, live walkabouts out there in the museums and stuff, or is it something completely different?
something in there got me to where I'm going, and if you'll see, I'm gonna do a whole thing. Matter of fact, it will be uh, what I would do. What I'm going to do is instead of me doing a boots on ground for this video, um,
Are you gonna
I'm
go to
going to
Orion?
I'm no, I'm going to do a
Boots on
live video and talk about it. So this is going to be a more personal thing because
Oh,
and you, of course I'm going to have you come in into so you can ask some questions and
oh, there's gonna
stuff
be
like that.
somebody. There's gonna
Yeah.
be somebody in this. We have a
No, it's going to
guest.
be me. No, it's going to be me. It's going to be me. It's a new journey that I'm on. But the thing is that I have this website rebirthoftheword.com because we're about to end the show.
I promise I won't be easy on you.
And in that section I have a lot of books. Like I've read a lot of books in my lifetime. I have a website rebirthoftheword.com where
Yeah,
I have
go
a
to it,
section
everybody.
called Knowledge is Power right here. This
That's-
tab right here.
That
You
is the
click on it.
facts.
Now this is interesting. If you click on it, it's going to take you to this page here. If you just put your mouse over it, there's other things in my website that you can go into. So I have like a whole list of who are these gods and goddesses.
Yeah.
I'm doing different religions. I'm adding a new section for that. I don't know why this is taking so long and why did that load up. That's weird.
It's probably because you're streaming right now. No worries about it.
But anyway, this is where I get my information from. So I have a whole list of books that I personally have on my Kindle or in my house. Now it only says 294 right here, but a lot of these books have multiple. So like you have A through K here, L through Z here. These are all my.
Can you click on them, or they're just there for people to read?
This is just books that I have in my house, or on my Kindle.
Bet you don't have them linked, so people can click on them and.
Nah, hell no, I ain't gonna do all that. That takes way too much time. But I have a lot of encyclopedia.
294 times.
No, way more than that. That's what I'm trying to explain to you is that it says 294, but a lot of these books are series. So like the Encyclopedia Britannica books that I have A through K, then L through Z. You know, those are a set of books.
That takes a lifetime to read.
Not only that, that's just a lot of books in between that. And then like I have let's see,
too much data, Constitution, Chris says. Bro, my head is hurting.
I'm trying to go all the way to the top.
I'm with you, Chris. You
so
and I are in the same boat.
Here we go. So I have
pulled on the tugboat.
Where is it at?
We're on the Rebirth tugboat.
Books on how to learn how to read biblical Hebrew. So I've been teaching myself that. I have multiple different Bibles in here. The Iliad and Odyssey. So that's one book. That's one book, but it's two different books. So it's a limited edition book. So that adds to the list. You know, I got let's see, where's it at? I want to find that one that I always talk about.
We get it, bro. We get it.
Where's this? So
you're book smart. You're book literate.
No, I'm trying to show you where we're at on the list.
On the list?
Yeah. Let's see. Where's it at?
You're going to make my back break.
Okay, here we go. So we're right here. So we're on 74 of probably like, I'm going to say out of all this list, there's probably about 800 books actually, because it's just, like I said, these books. Plus, I don't have a lot of these books.
I know we're not going to be going over the Holy Bible.
No, we're not going to do that. Well, this is two separate ones right here, and we're not going to do the Bible. We'll probably
Jesus live on the Holy Bible.
I already did it. Right here, I already did it. I did all of the books of the Ancient Hebrew Torah Lexicon by Jeff Benner. I did all his right over. So I already did that. So I'm not going to do those. But the next book that we're going to do after this one, after I read that next one. Just look, we got chakras that we got to talk about. We got cannabis and its spirituality.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. That's
I mean,
serious.
I'm telling you, a lot of these books are like a series of books. I have one book, the Jesus Christ
The
series. Did I go
morals
over it
and
yet?
dogma. You just missed that one. That one's good.
Yeah, that's well, let me see. Hold on. I could just do this. Yeah,
We
that
didn't
one
go
right
over
here.
Byzantine Empire.
No, we I'm telling you, which one?
You missed that one. Byzantine, BYZ.
Some of those books I can't get. I can't do anymore because I don't have which one is it?
You have AI.
If it's on Kindle, sometimes the permissions were some of the books were taken off. So some of them, that's why I say I won't be able to do every single book. Which one are you talking about?
Scroll down a little bit. Keep going downwards. Scroll up.
We're right. We're
oh
here,
no, yeah. Go up. Yeah. Keep scrolling up. Oh, you got a Rick Von Daniken in there.
Yeah, we already did that. I did a lot of them. These are the books that I've done so far.
Did I do a Rick Von Daniken with you?
I don't remember. All the way from 1 to 74, I've done so far.
My father's best friend.
Not more to 74.
Work together. Yeah.
Yeah, 74. Yeah. And like
Rick Von Daniken.
Like I said, like here, like Plato's books. I got 30 books right here total. Right here.
He passed away, so he's a family friend.
So that 294, you might as well add 30 more books to that. Like I said, I got like 800 on the list because this is 30 books right here. And then I got Herodotus. Like, look here, when I was talking about Herodotus earlier in his books, the complete works of Herodotus illustrated the histories right here. I mean, he talks about
the voyage of Beagle Darwin. You did that one?
No, all these we're right here. We're right here. So we're going down this list right here. But what I want to tell people is because I'll be able to go all. I know it says 294. We're not. Like I said, there's a series.
There was one that said UFO right there. I saw the word UFO when you were scrolling that fast. There it is.
I got a lot of books on UFO.
Oh, I got you guys. We're gonna be hitting that UFO hard.
That's what I'm trying to tell people. This is what I'm trying to tell people is that
I'm waiting for more files to come out. But I mean, we're gonna be hitting it hard.
What I'm trying to tell people is that I'm not going to be able to go over every single one of these books. So if what they want, they can go through my website and see which book that they want me to go over. And if I already went over it, I'll send them the link to it. But whatever any of these books in here do they want me to go over?
There's Scientology.
I got a lot. I'm telling you, a lot of different books. Close Encounters, the abduction cases of Betty and Barney Hill, the Aleister Crowley collection. Like I said, it says 294 books, but I have a series.
If we did the abduction case, we would go over stuff that they missed and other things that are outside the norm of the story. So, like, there's always the same old story.
The book. I'm going over the book. See, there's the one with UFOs for. Look, I'm telling you, that's why I'm trying to tell people right now.
I will always find new stuff.
You can do it too. You can do it too. Go look. I have 5 books that's specifically about UFOs. That's UFO that says the word UFOs in them.
Yeah, everything that you have right there.
This is not updated. I have about 100 books on my Kindle that I'm slowly updating on this website.
You know what's crazy? With the new with the unredacted files, they go over the stuff those people went through, and they have more details about it.
What I'll do? Well, I'm not going to do it because I'm not in a rush to do it. I have about 100 books. I know I have 30 books in my library that I haven't updated on here because I recently bought those. And I have about 100 books on my Kindle that I haven't put on this list yet. And I have series, and in those books, there's series. So there's a lot of different books within those series. So what I recommend is every month I update my list. It's very hard. Like I said, I do everything myself. So this website is all mine. I'm the only one that run this website. I'm the only one that updates it, and so on and so forth. But go to my website, rebirthoftheword.com. If you want a specific book that you want me to go over, have some questions about stuff, let me know. I'll go over the book. I have a series, what I've learned from reading these books, and I know I'm not going to be able to go over every book that I've read. It's impossible to do that because there's a lot of books out there, and there's only 365 days, and I have at least, I'm going to say on hand, about 1,200, 1,300 books. Out of those 1,200,
bro, you're talking like the podcast is going to end.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that this new journey that I'm on, I'm not going to put a lot of time into what I've learned from reading this book. Me doing this, the only reason why I started doing this series before we end is mainly because everybody said they heard this is what the source said. So when they said these people, they talked about the Dogon tribe, I'll be like, okay, well, where does it say that? Well, they haven't read the first person that actually wrote about it, which would be Marcel.
And they didn't have AI either. So
what? Yeah, especially then. Like, I mean, that's just recent. I mean, like I said, I can tell you, there's been plenty of times where I've read a book from and said this is what it says in this book. Like when we was talking about Mithras. Remember when we was talking about Mithra and how Mithra was born on 25th of December, and Grok said that there's no actual text that says that. Well, 2 days later, I pick up this book here because, like we said, the guy was black that shared that information. Like we always say, when black people share information, a lot of people will say that it's Afrocentric, so they don't want to believe it. So 2 days later, I pick up this book right here that I showed all these tabs on, and they talk about Mithra and how he was born on the 25th of December.
And that one's from Cambridge University.
Exactly, that's my point. So my point is that. Exactly. So now, and I'm glad you said it like that. Before we end it, there will be white people who will say, no, this is Afrocentric. And then
you gotta tell AI it said it in Cambridge. But
it's not.
How could you say no?
It's not only that. It's not only just white people will say that. Black people will say that too. Black people will say that information is wrong. That's not right. Mithra wasn't born on the 25th of December. Blah, blah, blah.
And I don't want to sound racist, but
because
there are black people that go to Cambridge University.
That's not racist. What I'm saying is that that it's not just one group of people who say this. It was my point is that I've heard from what people will call an Afrocentric guy. I learned it. I read it from him, and then I came here and got this book here, which I'm thoroughly reading, of course, as you can see, that says the same exact thing. So now, who am I supposed to believe? Well, I don't have to believe anybody. I just have to have the knowledge and the information on that. Like I always say, every time I say it before we end, knowledge is power. And it's not until you gain with that information that you have that power.
Got a little hype now. Can I let it die down? I remember days in the trench. Time to go hard in, time to go all in, time to get my all to this shit. Panamera maxed out, first class flights out Atlantic to Pacific, yeah, it's lit.
Bro, you